Kinyan Masechta recommends about 4 different Masechtas to choose from.
I think we're on.
And if you're doing sukkah, to start with the second parak. This is what they say to do. Is feel works the best. You know, the 4 Masechtas are Tainus, Sukkah, Tamid, or Seita. Chavtes.
Chavtes 29A.
29A. So we're going to start with the Tanur Rabbanan, just the Chazer. It's about 10 lines up from the wide lines. Chavtes and Aleph. Tanur Rabbanan, the Rabbanan Tat. Hayaychel v'sukkah v'yardu geshamim. A guy was eating in the sukkah, and it started to rain. V'yorad, and he left the sukkah. We don't trouble him to go back up into the sukkah until he finishes his suda. The guy was sleeping under the sukkah. V'yardu geshamim, and it started raining. V'yorad, and he left the sukkah. We don't trouble him to go back into the sukkah until it becomes light, when it becomes dawn. They asked the Shah in the base of Medrash, Ad Sheyeor or Ad Sheyeor? 1 second. When they said Ad Sheyeor, was it with the ayin or was it with the aleph? Was it Ad Sheyeor with the ayin, which means until he awakens, which could be 3 in the morning? Or was Ad Sheyeor until it's light, which means 5:30 in the morning when it's light, when it's dawn? What did they? Which one was it? The Gemara says Tashma bin Yurai from a brisa. The brisa says Ad Sheyeor v'yalamud hashachar. It says twice l'shinus of light until it's light and it's alois hashachar. So then what's Ad Sheyeor? You just said alois hashachar. So Ad Sheyeor means like a later time during the day when it gets even more light, but that's a contradiction. If you're saying alois hashachar, that's the earliest amount of time. That's the earliest time it can be light. So you don't say Ad Sheyeor v'yalamud hashachar. Sounds like Yeor is a different time of light, and if it's a different time, it's a later time. And you just said actually, what's going on over here? The Gemara says Tarti? Both? Yeor, light, and Mud HaShachar, they both mean light. Ella, rather, Ema say that this is really sticking it with an ayin. At Sheyeor v'yala Mud HaShachar, it's really with an ayin. Until he awakens and it's alois, means you need both. You need that's light outside, and also that he woke. Doesn't have to wake himself up or set an alarm clock. Only once he wakes up and it's dawn, then he has to go back into the sukkah. If not, he could stay sleeping in his house. And this, so the Gemara continues. New thing. The Mishnah said,
What does it mean? If he slept through, if he woke up later, then that's fine.
If he woke up in the middle of the night, he could still continue sleeping. And if it's still morning, he's like sleeping until 11 o'clock in the morning, but he didn't wake up yet, that's fine. You need both conditions. If it rains and you leave the sukkah, it's like a mashal of the mass of water being poured in the face. So the Gemara quotes the beginning of the mashal. Mashal madavar daima. The Gemara asks the question they asked the Beis Medrash was Mishafach lani, who poured the water on whom? Tashma, come and listen. The time went in the brayso. Shafach lei rabbi kitin alpanav. The master poured the pitcher of water on his face. V'amar and said to him, Efshi b'shumushech, I don't want your service. It's like Hashem poured the water in our faces when it rains on Sukkot, and that's the idea of the mashal. Hashem's not happy with us, and it's like a siman klola. It's a curse. Hashem's like, get out of my sukkah. I don't want you to serve me, and that's that.
It's a message to each person.
Yeah, b'shvili nivra elim. Yeah, to you, to me, to everyone, to every person.
It rains for everyone else.
Yeah, b'shvili nivra elim. You're. It's all you. The whole world is here for you, on some level. Yeah. So now, once we mention, this is where we're up to right now. Once we mention siman klolas, we're going to talk about other siman klolas that there are in the world. But to understand this next Gemara, just a little bit, you have to know some astronomy. Okay? Basic astronomy, I could not even know it, so you're going to have to help me. I'm going to talk about 3 parts of astronomy. It's easy, and you have to know this for life. There's something called the sun. Right, we're all familiar with that. And there's something called the moon, familiar with that. And there's something called Earth. Okay? 3 planets we're going to talk about right now. Earth, just to give you an idea about Earth, anybody, okay, we're going to do that. This tissues are going to be, because we're talking about eclipse. This next one's about eclipse. You don't know what's going on, you're not going to talk about eclipses. We're going to pretend that this tissue box is the sun. Is that okay? I'm going to put it over here on the shender. It's the sun. I'll put it over here. The sun doesn't move. The sun stays in its place It's really, really big. Okay? Then we need something else there. That my hat is going to be Earth. Okay? Earth moves around the sun. Moves around the sun. Earth moves around the sun. Takes it how long? 365 days a year. So it spins 24 hours. The whole Earth spins. Okay? Two things. The Earth goes around the sun, takes about 365 days, and it also spins itself. And then the moon, the sitter will be the moon, sorry. The moon goes around the Earth 29 and a half days. Okay? It takes 29 and a half days to go around. The sun stays in its place. Here's the Earth, and here's the moon. So it's like they're all three working in together, but the sun doesn't move. What is an eclipse? Okay, what's an eclipse? Eclipse means you have the sun in the middle. Okay? You have the Earth. Which one's the Earth? The sitter was the Earth, I think? Sorry, I'm confusing you. The hat was Earth? The hat was Earth? If the moon, in all this movement, goes in front of the sun, and it blocks the sun, and now you don't see the sun anymore. The moon get right in front of the sun, that the Earth has total eclipse and doesn't even see the sun at that time. You even look up and you see the moon for a few minutes wherever you are on Earth. Because if you're like a little bit over here on Earth, you don't have a full eclipse. It's only if you're a certain position on Earth. Okay? That's
what happens every case?
Yeah.
What happens every night? The sun goes down. Is the moon's not blocked? I'm just.
Okay, 1 second. Oh, very good. The moon. Very important about the moon. How does the moon work? We go outside Kiddush Shabbat. What is going on? So the way it works with the moon is, which one's the moon again? The sitter is the moon. Okay, that's the sun. Is the Earth. The moon. When the moon is facing, not an eclipse, let's say it's lower down, let's just say, and the moon's like this, the sun's hitting the back. So therefore on Earth you don't see a moon. There's a moon there, but the light is shining. The moon doesn't have its own light. It's shining against here. And here's Earth. Therefore there's no moon. As the moon goes around the Earth 29 and a half days, about 15 days later it's over here, it's completely getting light from the sun and shining onto Earth. So the moon, I'll just use my finger now for the moon. This is Earth, this is the sun. When the moon is over here, the sun's hitting the back side of the moon. So you're looking at the moon, you don't see anything. Really, the moon's giving a lot of light, just direction of the sun. When the moon comes around over here, and then the sun hits it, and that's how you see the reflection. We'll see the Gemara, just the basic. You don't have to know these details for the Gemara, just want you to know what's out there. Says the Gemara, the first wide line. Tanu Rabbanan. The Rabbanan taught, a brayso. Bizman shahachama loika. It's a very famous Gemara because people astronomy and by the eclipse they quote. Everyone's busy. A year ago, everyone pounded this Gemara. Everyone's looking at it, darshaning it, talking about it. Okay, this is where it was. Bizman shahachama loika. When the sun gets hit, what it means is an eclipse. Hit means that it's the level of light is diminished. How's the level of light diminished? Again, if the moon blocks the pathway from the sun to the Earth. Now, the sun never gets diminished itself. It's just something blocking the sun, and that's the moon, from shining onto Earth. So when that happens, when the Chama is loika, it gets hurt and not giving off enough light. Simin ra l'chol ha'olam kulay. It's an evil sign. It's a bad siman, a bad, what's how you say in English, like a bad omen for the entire world. Now people ask, all the Mefarshim ask. They know when it's going to be an eclipse. It's after every certain amount of years. And also, the one that was a year ago was a total eclipse. But very often there's little eclipses. That happens more frequently. It's just not a total eclipse. So how could you tell me when the sun gets, it's a siman ra? It happens on the. I can tell you right now when the next eclipse is happening.
That doesn't need to happen. I don't saying.
Yeah, but it's like sort of built into nature. It's built in, so it means it's siman ra. It's not like Hashem's upset or something. Oh, I'm doing an eclipse. I can tell you now there's an eclipse in 5 years from now. So why is it a siman ra? So all Mefarshim deal with this. The most simple pshat is that b'shas the eclipse, it's like a bad, not when the eclipse happens, it means during Bishah, they make a deal. Bisman, at the time of the eclipse, at the exact time, it's sort of like a bad time to do anything. Similar, just to give you an idea, imagine at night. We know night time is more of like a bad time, technically. It's more of a time of din. It's not, day is more like Rachamim. What do you mean? It happens every day night. It's just a mitzias of how Hashem works. That when certain things are going on in the world, there's less hashkacha. I can't tell you exactly everything over here. But they say that, during the actual eclipse, somehow it's a siman ra at that time for the entire world. But there are other pshatim given for this. There are other pshatim. So it's a bad, evil siman, yes.
It's a siman ra for the people that see the eclipse, meaning for the location of the eclipse? Or
So it's a good question. When we're going to see also, where it says the chol olam, it could be like for everyone who sees it, not every single person. It could be. The kol olam means for everyone who's there, in that world of, it is possible. I was wondering about the same thing. You'll see another area where it comes up. Could be kol olam means for like everyone who sees that, who's part of that. So if there's an eclipse, a solar eclipse, it's a bad sign for the entire world. And the Brisa gives a mashal. Mashal a parable. What's this matter compared to Lamelech basar v'dam, to a king of flesh and blood, a human king. Sha'asa suda la'avodav, he made a suda for his servants, for his chaver, like Achashverosh, made a suda for his contingency. V'hiniach panas lefnehem, and he put a lantern. Panas is a lantern. He put a lantern in front of them. It's a suda. It's at night. He wants it to be light. Lichtig, geshmak suda. You have lights. He put a lantern. Ka'as aleim, he got upset at them. Doesn't say why. He got upset at them during the suda. V'amar lavdi, he said to his servant, I guess one of his trusty servants there, he said, Tol panis mipneim, take the lantern from before them. V'hoishivam b'cheshech, and let them sit them in darkness. Sit them in darkness. That's the mashal. You're at a party, the king makes a big party, he puts out a lantern so it should be lichtig, and he says, you know what, I'm not happy with the olam, take away the lantern. So when Hashem takes away the light of the sun with an eclipse, and it's not shining so much, that means Hashem doesn't want that light to be upon us. And he sort of says, put them in darkness. So therefore it's not a good thing. So people were all running to go check it out. Wow, let's go check out the eclipse, the totality. Technically, according to this Bryce, it's a siman ra. But we're going to see another Bryce that actually argues on this, okay? But this Bryce says it was a siman ra for even Jews. Siman ra for everyone.
Rainbow, the same idea. People also take pictures of it.
No, rainbow is another
a
thing.
reminder that we're not going to...
Rainbow's not such a good thing. You shouldn't tell people about it. Yeah, not to tell people about it. Now, it happens to be the Chavetz Chaim. There's a story when he had an eclipse, he told people to go check it out outside. So maybe he didn't go with this Bryce, so we'll see different Bryces where it's actually not so bad for us. That is about a solar eclipse. Says another Bryce, Tanya, we went to the Bryce. Rabbi Meir says, Kol zman shema'oris loikin, any time that ma'iris are like, what are ma'iris? We say in davening every day, Baruch atah Hashem yotzer ha'ma'iris. What does that mean? People do not appreciate, I'm like crazy into the verse Baruch. You know why? Not because of myself. If you listen to Ravida Miller, every 5 or 6 tapes, probably one of his biggest themes is talking about sunlight and the luminaries in the sky and how beneficial they are for our lives, for seeing, for happiness, for no depression, and the growth of the world. You can't imagine what the sun does for us, and the moon, these things, mostly the sun, which is the biggest. The entire first bracha, Birchas Kriya Shema, it's one of the biggest brachas that we say. It's one long bracha from Yetzer V'Cheshach up until the end, where Yetzer Meiris, is all about the sun. That's it. It's about the Malachim praising Hashem about the sun. It's incredible bracha. And people, like you say, do you ever think about the sun? I don't know. We say bracha about the sun? Yeah. The first Yetzer HaMe'orais, who created the luminaries, and from the luminaries is the sun. So, says Rameir, Kol Zman Shema'orais Loikin, any time that the luminaries are hit, they're diminished by their light. Luminaries are referring to the sun, the moon, the stars, those are all luminaries. Siman Ra, it's a bad sign, L'Seinem Sheyisrael, for the Klal Yisrael's enemies. That's what it means literally, but it means the Jewish people. Very often when we say bad things are going to happen to us, we don't say the Jewish people, we say the enemies. Just another most, where people a lot of times say it's bad for the Jews. It's never al tiftach pel satan. Really, you see from this brayso, don't Don't say these things if you don't have to. Say for enemies of the Jews, don't say about us something bad's going to happen. Rameir says, if any of the luminaries they have an eclipse, then it's a bad sign for the Yidden. The enemies of Yisrael is referring to the Yidden. Why? What shaykhs? Why us? Because shemilumadin b'makesehen. That means milumadin means accustomed b'makesehen to get hurt in their hits. The Jewish people, we're always getting hurt. We're always getting beaten by non-Jews. Ask any person who's the most beaten up nation from the time that they're created till now. There's no question as the Jewish people. We're being hurt all the time. So when there's a bad sign in the luminaries, guess what? If it's saying something bad's going to happen to this world, guess what? It probably is bad about us. And it brings a mashal. And we'll see what that means because we're accustomed to get hurt. Mashal, I'll give you a parable. I love this parable. The sefer to a teacher, Shabal lebeis sefer, who comes to school. Teacher walks into school. Uritzua biyadi is a strap in his hand, right, to beat the students. Anybody who's not behaving, he's got a strap in his hand. Mi dayeg, who's nervous in school that day? Who's the one that's nervous in class? Mi dayeg. Mi sharaga lilkais b'chol yom b'yom. The one that's accustomed to get hit every single day, who dayeg? He's the one that's nervous. Right, that kid that gets hit all the time, makes trouble, whatever else it is. Oh no, if the teacher's coming in with the strap, he knows a good chance it's going to be him. Something's going to happen. Klal Yisrael, we've been beaten up our entire lives. Beaten up. If there's a bad sign that something bad's happening, it's probably happening to us. That's what he says. But I saw something very nice, just to give you a shtickle nice thing about that. I think it's from the Maharsha. You know why this means? What does that mean? The only people it's worth it to beat up because they actually change and do something is the Yidden. It means when you walk into a classroom, I was a Rebbe one year. I had one kid in my class, very, very hard. I couldn't even be mechanech him. It means, okay, I didn't hit anyone, that's for sure. But he was never the kid that I actually dealt with. It wasn't possible. The kid was, whatever, it was too hard. He was not, I had to deal with him differently. I wasn't being, it wasn't a gale. The guy that's pretty good, that makes some trouble, him you deal with. You're trying to like, mechanech him.
You would have had a strap that day. You should be
Yeah, you're asking him. So Klal Yisrael, we actually we're in the game. So when Hashem wants to give us Musar, he gives us Musar. The non-Jewish nations, they're done anyways. They're like the misbehaving kid in class. It's not the Geya. For us, we actually have what to change. We can learn. We can adapt. So yeah, when a Rebbe comes with a strap, he might hit you, the Yid, more than he'll hit the non, because they're not changing. They're not looking to. So it's actually a mile about us. The reason why we get hit so much is because we're still in the game. We're still in the game. So that's what Rameir says. So Rameir holds that anytime the Ma'iris are loikin, it's bad for Klal Yisrael, which almost seems like he's arguing. It means if there's a solar eclipse, it's bad for the Yidden, not so much bad for the non-Jews. And we'll stop over here by the Tanur Ravan.
Really, anything that happens in the world
That's true.
is
Yeah. They say any pranius that happens to anything like that. Yeah, it's a chazal. All these bad things that happen throughout the world are because of, they meant to teach us a lesson. Yeah, it's for us. Yeah. I guess it's usually like that unless we know something that's more specific for them.
Still doing?